That man right there under arrest is Ras Baraka, mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Democrat, currently a contender for the governorship of New Jersey, and under arrest because he broke the law. Democrats, you know, for a couple of years there under Biden, you could break the law, you could riot, you could assault cops, you could do all kinds of things and not go to jail. Now, what did Ras Baraka do? We're not totally sure yet, but he certainly didn't cooperate. You see, at an ICE facility in New Jersey, Immigration Customs Enforcement, where we all know the Trump administration is getting serious, some Democrats showed up, members of Congress, Cory Booker, the rest, to try to say, why are you guys being so serious about lawbreakers? Well, they got the idea that they could take over the place, it looks like. They form one of those chains, we shall overcome, we shall overcome. Well, law enforcement would have none of it. You can't block the entrance to an ICE facility. You can't try to take over the ICE facility. And, yeah, they got what was coming to them. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time, something along those lines. So Ras Baraka busted, and I think it's actually pretty cool. I mean, they really were defiant. They were belligerent. They were, you know, somehow above the law. No, you're not. The law is back, and it's great. Yeah, a year ago, you probably would have gotten away with this. In fact, the illegal immigrants were getting away with it at the border, droves and droves of them. If they set foot on American soil, that was it. They're guaranteed. Yeah, I'm a refugee. All right, step right up, get online, here are your paperworks. We'll see you in 5 years in court. This is December 21, 2023. Look at it today. Same video right now, huh? Dramatic difference. It's under control, and it's a beautiful thing. We're going to get a country back after all. Just a little taste of things to come under the Trump administration. In the meantime, a little blast from the past, Joe Biden and his disastrous performance on The View. People are taking a dim view of it. You get it? Joe Biden shows up, stunned, confused. Then he's backed up by Jill Biden. She comes off as, well, a little bit angry and miffed with a chip on her shoulder, and the whole thing was a disaster. The women of The View, who usually just kind of cackle and giggle at anything, you could tell that they weren't into it either. It was just awful. Everybody knew it. But Democrats being Democrats, very few are saying it out loud. We'll do it for them. Actually, one or two did. Some on the record, some off the record. The Hill, Capitol Hill, though, they talked to some Democrats and they said it this way. I just don't think he understands how wide and deep the resentment is, the sentiment is, because one Democratic strategist said Biden needs to take responsibility for his actions and own up to the fact that he caused Democrats to lose. Wow. I don't think there's a willingness to cop to the fact that he should never have run again in the first place, the strategist said. Why can't he come out and acknowledge that part of this is on him? Great question. Joe has never taken responsibility for anything. You know, for the past 4 years, though, you couldn't say it out loud. We could, quite frankly. Newsmax, a bastion of truth. But the rest of the country, CNN, and yeah, even to an extent Fox News, there was so much they couldn't say, so much they wouldn't talk about. Kind of reminded you of the old Soviet Union, right? There were certain things they had there was like a way to read the newspaper and kind of glean the truth if you focused and read between the lines. Did remind me a lot. You know, Joe Biden even looks like Leonid Brezhnev. He actually looks like that. And they do the same thing. They did the same thing. You know, everything's fine, everything's rosy, right up until you lose. You lose in Afghanistan, you lose an election. Anyway, this whole thing with The View got me thinking again about what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, actually. Yeah, there's a tie-in between what we saw yesterday on television and this moment, and the moment where President Trump was on the ground. We heard from Donald Trump that at this time, at this second, he actually knew he was going to be all right. He knew he was safe once he was on the ground. It's an amazing moment, isn't it? And then he was brought off, and the strength and the power of that moment. Now, a couple of things that are new about this. The Pulitzer Prize doesn't get much regard anymore because they kind of corrupted themselves. Take a look at this picture. it was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for photography this week. Now, what's so special about this picture? Well, let's take a closer look. That's the bullet flying by President Trump's head. Yes, it is. I've never seen this before in photograph form. That's a bullet in flight. Amazing. And Doug Mills from the New York Times, who happens to be a nice guy and President Trump likes him, got the Pulitzer Prize for photography. Wow. But I'm not done with the Jill Biden connection. Another quick detour, though. This picture reminds me of something else that happened this week, the spitting incident. That woman spit on a great all-round guy named Ed Martin, and hard to see there, but we have found the saliva. There it is. She spat on a man. Why? Because, what? He's a good attorney, and he was sticking up for the January 6ers. She spat on a man. Now, who was this woman? Let's take a look at her. They don't have her identity yet. They think they know who she is, but they haven't actually released the identity. We have that picture, please? Okay, yeah, here it actually happens. Ooh, horrible. That guy was talking to Newsmax. All right. There she is. Bad person. It's also weird. You know, she's walking her dog, and how can you be that mad at anyone, right? If I were that mad at anyone enough to spit, I would find them. That would be all I would be thinking about, and I'd have to. It was a target of opportunity. Don't have her name. She will be arrested. It's her face is right there. Now, who was she spitting on? Ed Martin, who was the nominee for the U.S. Attorney spot in Washington, D.C. Thanks to Tom Tillis, North Carolina Rhino, he's not going to get the job. Jeanine Pirro will, and that's good. But how can you be this mad at Ed Martin? Looks like a nice guy. I talk about Ed Martin all the time. I know his record. I know who he is. I know where he came from, but he looks like a lot of other people. I can't imagine anybody getting that worked up so quickly to get so mad at all-around nice guy Ed Martin. I wouldn't know him if I passed him on the street. Like Keke Palmer. Anybody know Keke Palmer? Great performer. At one point, this went viral because she couldn't recognize Dick Cheney.
I hate to say it. I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
No problem, Keke. And I feel you. I feel you. All right. So, my train of thought. This all ties into Butler, Pennsylvania. Yes, it started with The View. Joe and Jill on The View. And it took me back. Jill Biden had a speech on July 13th. And I learned something about that this week. July 13th, 2024, the same day that President Trump was speaking just 43 miles away down the road, up the road from Pittsburgh in Butler. Now get this. She got more resources than President Biden, than President Trump. Get to that in a moment. But did you know that the radios in Butler, Pennsylvania, they kept picking up traffic? The Secret Service radios were picking up traffic from the Jill Biden event. It's true. And it screwed up comms that day. It's actually officially in the Senate report. Let's go ahead and put that up. The FLOTUS people, they found out a Secret Service communications from a nearby FLOTUS, First Lady of the United States event in Pittsburgh, crossing over onto Secret Service radios at Butler, requiring day of alterations to the Butler communications channel plan, switching radio channels. That was a screw up, a big one, and it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't. She shouldn't have been in Pennsylvania. She should not have, because of the Secret Service limitations. Her message in Pennsylvania was not important. President Trump trying to make America great again. She's just killing time.
Now, 3 generations after my great-grandparents arrived at Ellis Island, I am proud to stand before you as the first Italian-American First Lady.
So what? So what? There's like $1 million at least worth of security for that event inside, small, a couple of hundred people max. It sounded like a couple of dozen. And she got with that a counter surveillance unit. That is so important to ward off snipers. How are you going to have a sniper in a room the size of a basketball court? And it wasn't a basketball stadium. It was tiny. And it sounded like a couple of dozen people in there. Up the road in Butler, Pennsylvania, 15,000 people show up. You know what would have been great? A counter surveillance unit, right? You need one of those things. What does that do? They look for snipers. And President Trump did not get one. In fact, he had almost no chance of getting one, that they didn't even ask for one. They didn't even go through the motions of, we're not going to get it. Why ask for it? A counter surveillance unit. They're guys who look outside the event, looking around for bad guys. And you know what they would have found? The shooter running around on that roof. A counter surveillance unit. I mean, it's unbelievable that so many people should have seen that guy. The people did, but what about the so-called professionals? They didn't. And they talk about this thing being undermanned. I don't know. There were 150 professionals there, 75 state and local approximately, and 75 Secret Service agents. 150. And they couldn't find the guy. How about this one? Please put this up, please. Communications concerns are not new to the law enforcement or first responder communities, okay? Keep going. Are commonly mitigated through very practical measures not done on July 13th, including exchange of radios and/or exchange of personnel. Because the 75 locals and the 75 Secret Service, not one of them could talk to the other. 75 guys had no way of talking directly on the radio to the other 75 guys on the other team. Same team, kind of, right? All want to protect the president. That should be an easy fix. Like they could trade radios.